it's Steph. Thanks for clicking. This is my 5th update for Supernatural Pan Interrupted. Jessica and Amanda created this project back in 2018. I only started it at the end of last year, which is why I'm only in season 1. For in this project, you take each of the 327 episodes, you work on 6 at a time, and you choose an item to pair a goal with for each episode. So that is a lot of products and a lot of panning. I don't think anyone has actually finished all of them yet. And as I said, I am back in season 1. So I'm going to go ahead through the 6 items that I've been working on through the last month. And I do have some goals met and therefore some new episodes that are going to be coming in. Since the very beginning, I have been working on season 1, episode 2, which is called Wendigo. Sam and Dean Winchester pose as park rangers to help a brother and sister search for their lost sibling. The Winchesters believe he may have been taken by a Wendigo. In this episode, the sister of the missing person identified that they couldn't possibly be park rangers. They had to have been posing because they did not have any supplies with them when they went hunting into the woods other than guns and some M&Ms. So she knew they had to be lying about who they were. And since she caught them in that way, I decided to bring an item that I actually would take backpacking with me. I wouldn't take any makeup in the woods, but I would take a sunscreen. This was the Everyday Humans Resting Beach Face SPF 30 face sunscreen. This was nice. It was not waterproof. If I were going backpacking, I'd probably choose something waterproof instead of this, to be honest. But I still liked the texture of it and it felt hydrating. This is finally gone. I used it 3 times over the last month to finish it off. This actually did expire in February, but I didn't get burned. It still seemed to be working. But this is rolling out as an empty, and there will be another episode coming in, whatever's next, to replace Wendigo. The next episode on my list was Bloody Mary, and it is about Bloody Mary, the same Bloody Mary you know. A man dies of a stroke in front of a mirror, but Sam and Dean believe something or someone else may be behind his death. Also, Dean tries to help Sam open up about his girlfriend's death, particularly after Sam lets it slip that there's some information that he hasn't told Dean. And since Bloody Mary is always summoned through mirrors, you say her name 3 times in front of a mirror after you shut the bathroom door, of course, I've decided to pick an item with a mirror in it. This is the Japanesque Velvet Touch Shadow in the shade 01. I mostly use it as like an inner corner or a brow bone highlight. My goal was to use this 15 times and I have now reached that goal. So this is now rolling out. I just had 2 uses left, so I knew I would hit this one. It's still a nice highlighting type color. Japanesque doesn't make eyeshadows anymore, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with this one. It works just fine. It is pretty cool toned, and so that worked well for me throughout the winter. I do have a nice pan in there, and someday I want to finish it, but that's not going to be happening anytime in the near future, and probably not this year. So I'll still own it, but it is out of this project. The next one that was in this project still was episode 8, which is called Bugs, and yeah, it's about bugs. Dean and Sam arrive in a town checking up on a report of a mysterious death and stop at a realtor's open house barbecue. Sam then meets the realtor's son, Matt, who is fascinated with bugs. Soon the town is invaded by swarms of deadly bugs, and it looks like there may be no way out. Since the episode is called Bugs and it is about swarming bugs, which is from a supernatural cause, I decided to pick a bug-related item. This is the Laura Geller Social Butterfly Palette. Butterflies are bugs. My goal is to use this 15 times. I keep picking the goal 15 uses because there's 15 seasons to Supernatural. At the last update I had 5 uses and I used it one more time for a total of 6. I did use every single product in here the one time I did use it, and that one time was Easter. But it looks like I've used it. It's nice. It's nice for like a birthday party or maybe like a baby shower or something like that where you want to have nice makeup but you also don't want to be standing out because you're not the star of the show, somebody else is. But this is still going to be in here for another 9 uses. Episode 8 is followed by episode 9, which is called Home. When Sam has nightmares of their old home, the brothers return to Lawrence, Kansas to investigate. They discover that a new family has moved into the Winchesters' home and the woman is the one that Sam has been dreaming about. I decided to kind of compare this to my first home. The first house that I lived in, the one I consider to have been the one I grew up in, I lived there from when I was about 1 year old to age 12 or 13 or something like that. But when I was about 5, I remember my dad building our swing set in the backyard, and he anchored it into the ground with some cement footings to help keep it from tipping over. And when he did that, my brother and I put our hands in the cement and left our handprints there. So I left a permanent imprint on that house, whether the current owners know it or not. So in the same way that there's an imprint left on their first home, there's one left on mine, and in my case it's a handprint. So I picked the Ahava Smoothing Hand Cream. I am using this at night. It lives on my bedside table. It's a little bit big to put in my purse. But I went from there to there over the last month. I'm making steady progress. I'll put a real mark on there. I just had a pen handy for right now. It's a decent hand cream. I wouldn't seek it out again, but I don't dislike it either. It works just fine. It does not smell like kale or turmeric. It is the kale and turmeric superfood smoothing hand cream, but it's not scented at all, so it's not scary like that. There's no vegetables. Last time I rolled in episode 11, which was called Scarecrow, and this one was creepy. This one was like kind of a mini horror movie. I remembered this one. Sam and Dean contact their father, who tells them to stop searching for him and sends them to a small town in Indiana where people are being sacrificed to a pagan god. Yeah, creepy. This pagan god happens to take up residence in an apple orchard, and so I decided to pick the Ulta Beauty lip balm stain in the shade Apple. This is more of a fall scent. I did put 15 uses as my goal for this, and I've used it twice, so I have made some progress. It is out of season. It does smell like apples, which I appreciate. It's not all that balmy, so it does have like a creamy texture when you apply it, but I wouldn't say that it's a hydrating product. The stain does last a decently long time, so I am pretty happy with it. I bought it on clearance for, I don't know, maybe $3, and I'm not disappointed for that price. This is going to be staying in for another 13 uses. And the last one was also, of course, rolled in last month, and it was episode 12, which is called Faith. When Dean is accidentally electrocuted fighting a monster, he permanently damages his heart. When he's diagnosed as only having a month at most to live, Sam searches for means to save him and finds Roy LaGrange, a faith healer who may actually be the real deal. While I did have an eyeshadow called Faith, which is the name of the episode, and I would have loved to bring it in, that shade is actually in another project, so I couldn't do that. In this episode, we find out that Roy isn't really healing people. There is a Reaper who is being magically controlled, and that Reaper is being forced to trade lives. So he's not really healing people, it's that that person's life is being traded for another. And by this point in the show, even the first time I was watching this through, I was familiar with the soundtrack and I was expecting what was going to be happening near the end of the episode. And yes, given that there was a Reaper involved, the Blue Oyster Cult's song Don't Fear the Reaper was featured. So for the Blue Oyster Cult, I decided to bring in something from my Lilo & Stitch Ohana palette. This is a blue eyeshadow in the shade Blue Hawaii, and I put my 15 use goal on it. In the last month, I have used it 5 times, so I do have 10 uses to go, which isn't bad, 5 uses in a month. I do like that shade. It's like a navy blue. It's not all that vibrant. This is kind of an older palette, and it wasn't that expensive in the first place, but it still shows up. I'll use it as a deepening shade or as a liner. I do like that color, but it's going to be in here for another 10 uses. I do have Wendigo and Bloody Mary rolling out, so there are going to be 2 more episodes rolling in. The first episode that's going to be coming in would be episode 13, and that is called Route 666. For those of you who are not in the US and may not be familiar with this, there is a famous highway that runs through the southern US called Route 66. There's actually a couple of different Route 66s in the US, but that one that goes through Oklahoma is pretty famous, and it's something that a lot of people will road trip as a bucket list item. I've never personally done it, but it's a pretty popular thing to do. And so the title of this episode is a play on Route 66, and of course 666 is the number of the Mark of the Beast. In this episode, Dean's first love asks him to come to Mississippi to investigate a string of racially motivated murders. There is a ghost truck that is running down black victims. It is a ghost of a racist person who was very attached to his truck, even in death, so that whenever he died, he is then haunting in the form of his truck. I also arguably have an unhealthy attachment to my vehicle. Mariah and I have been together since I bought her in 2012. And yeah, I've had that car for 13 years and I've had no problems whatsoever. But when Mariah and I spend a lot of time together, I need to wear sunscreen. So this is the Ulta Beauty Sunscreen Continuous Mist SPF 30. This actually is expired. So if I use this and I find that I'm burning and it's not working, then I'm just going to roll it out. But otherwise, my goal is going to be to finish this for Route 666. And the other item I'm going to be bringing in would be for episode 14, which is called Nightmare. Sam's precognitive dream leads the brothers to investigate a mysterious death which seems to connect to a boy in possession of the power of telekinesis. Sam is having these dreams that are predicting the future, and so since that's happening when he's asleep, it's called nightmare. I'm going to bring in an item that I would use while I'm sleeping, so I could potentially be wearing it if I were to have a nightmare. Fortunately, nightmares are not a common problem for me. The last time I had one, it was really vague. I was being chased by someone or something. I don't know what or why, but when I woke up, that was all I could remember, that I was being chased and I was scared of whoever or whatever it was. Anyway, the item that I'm going to be bringing in is this lip balm. I use this at night. It stays on my bedside table because it's one of those potted ones. So I don't want to carry this around because I only want to have clean hands when I stick my finger in it. So it's just my nighttime lip balm. My goal is going to be to finish this, and this is going to be in for a good long time. I still have a lot of product left in here. So there is my update. I had 2 rollouts and 2 roll-ins, and I may have panned myself into a corner here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be getting any rollouts next time. It might be a progress update then, so we'll have to see how that goes. Wish me luck, good luck with your projects, and I will see you next month. Bye.